Okay, it's Christina Merkley and I'm here with Sophia. Welcome.
Hi.
We just had the process group, and at the very end of it, you had shared something that had happened to you that had left you, understandably, with a lot of emotions and a lot of different kinds of feelings. So maybe that's a place for us to start with what emerged today.
Okay, you ready
I'm ready.
to
Yep.
talk? Yeah. Um, I had ordered my groceries the other day, which is something I have started doing more of with all this going on. And I went to pick them up. I got up there to the store, and I was driving towards the pickup place, and I saw the two of the big police SUV vehicles and one squad car. And there were three of them, at that time. And I thought, this is weird. I wonder if I can get on over where I need to. But they weren't blocking anything off, but it just looked very, yeah, just looked like a big deal. And so I pulled around the corner, and these little girls they weren't little girls, but at my age, they were, they
Hmm.
were young girls who helped carry the groceries out. And, they were looking out the door, and they kept looking towards that direction. And I said, "What's going on?" And I turned to look, and there were like two more vehicles of the big ones. And they said, "Well," she said, "a girl got caught either shoplifting or stole something." It turns out, I think that she had stolen services, maybe the hair or nails or something got done. And she tried to get out without paying. This was under $100. It wasn't a huge deal as far as the expense, but the longer I sat there, which was no more than 5 minutes, every time I'd glance up, there would be a new police vehicle, a new presence, and nothing was happening with the situation. You couldn't hear anything, but it was just rather overwhelming. Being a white woman, 60 years old, I grew up rather sheltered. And so it's, the white privilege, I guess, which is a hard thing for me to say sometimes because I didn't quite understand it until um, George Floyd and everything started happening. I didn't really understand what that truly meant. But every time I glanced, there would be more vehicles, up to eight police cars. Three of them were just cruisers. The others were the big SUV type, vehicles. And within about 3 minutes before I left, I hear this wailing and crying, and she's hollering, "No, no, no." And they had, I guess, had to pick her up because she was resisting. But the hold they had her in was they had her by her arms and legs, but she was facing down, her stomach towards the ground. And it just was very traumatic to see that, as well as the thought of her, being about the age of my kids who are 30. I'm thinking she was probably around 30 down to maybe 20 or even a little younger. But it just was so shocking. And and I can imagine, now I understand why, much more so. What is I why Black people would be afraid of police officers. I don't understand. That's what I just have not been able to understand. Why did they need so many officers? And maybe if they had somebody who could talk to her without scaring her to death, she might have actually walked to the car, because she did do something wrong if she stole services, but under $100, I don't see the sense in what they did.
Understandably. Let me just get this down.
Yeah.
Don't see the sense in what they did.
Yeah, there was like four officers carrying her.
Oh my
There
goodness.
was one
Yeah.
on each side, one arm, each one had an arm, and each one had a leg. And so there was no less than four. But they certainly didn't need 8 vehicles. And that's just how many I counted by the time I left.
Okay. Uh, I'm just tapping. This is going to be
Yeah,
out of context for people. That you brought forward this understandably upsetting. My body is upset right now, and
yes,
having to draw it out is
yes, that's what I was thinking.
another level of it. And so, and the reason why I'm tapping for anybody who might be watching this video, and if you've got the larger context of my work, I do a lot of work with the nervous system. And one of the things that we can do with the nervous system to help with the processing of various kinds of emotions is tapping. And I'm just instantly drawn to tapping my heart for various reasons. But I'm just drawn to the figure I just drew of this poor woman being manhandled out by 4 officers with 8 vehicles around, many of them being, by the sounds of it, the big SWAT video or vehicles, SUVs or whatever the heck those things, the
Mm.
paramilitary kind of vehicles, um, let alone the usual kind of police cars at your grocery store, which may be for some sort of stolen services that were probably of a very minimal amount of money. So there's a lot going on here. So I'm just,
Mhm.
my first situation, we're going to do inquiry, conscious inquiry with you, which is what we did in the process group
Okay.
with people that at the tail end of this emerged. And so that's why we're doing a private session on it. Obviously it's not private because we're doing a recorded, but a recorded session, a one-to-one session on it. The reason we both opted to do it is I think this is just a really important one to record, so, and to share.
Okay.
So I'm really appreciative of you being willing to do it.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to tap. So head, which the 3 minds, so the mental mind, the upset in the mind, understandable upset, and the upset in the heart. Oh, the heart, that's where I instantly went to. This poor woman, as you're saying, terrified.
Yeah.
And
Doing
I'm
okay.
aware of you too and your nervous system. I'm just using my nervous system as a surrogate, everybody, not to put myself front and center here, but my instinct as an energy worker is to instantly work my system as part of holding the container. Oh, and then the gut, because this goes first chakra, survival issues, money in the world issues, power, right? These first 3 chakra areas. So tapping into the gut to just ground into the solidity, the powerful, the grounded, just raw situation,
Yeah.
obviously in the context of the world too. Okay, so just I invite you, you may want to do it on your side too, Sophia, head, heart, and gut, to just meet this violence, meet this shockingness, meet this over response. Again, we don't know all the situation, but that's your assumption as you encountered the situation,
Yeah.
and the assault on the nervous system, observing it, of the assault of this woman's nervous system for what went down. And I'm also aware of the 2 grocery store
Yes.
clerks who were there as well, witnessing this going down.
Yes.
So we're just tapping into all of the, and I'm hearing women, I don't know right now the officer's side of it, but for now I'm just going to this woman who's, that's how the police responded to her. I'm going to her first and centermost. I'm going to you as a bystander. I'm going to 2 other women as bystanders right now. And we're just tapping the nervous system and meeting the understandable shock. I'm also meeting the mind. I'm hearing in here the mind, right? I'm meeting your mind who's doing its best to try to calculate. That's what minds do, right? They're data, and it's trying to Google it up, and it's not like, does not compute, right? So I'm just kind of acknowledging your mind emerging here.
Yeah.
And you're right, mind, this does not compute. And the body being shocked. And you're right, body, this is shocking. We don't like this. No, no, no. Authentic no here.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yes. Yeah, that's a big one. So just breathe into the authentic no of no. No to this, damn it. No. No to this situation. No to all the other situations that are so similar.
Yes. I mean, yes and no. Sorry.
Well,
Yes.
I think it's also yes, you went to, because part of what's happening for you is this is a consciousness raising experience for you to encounter this. Like you said, you grew up sheltered. You talked about privilege, and now it's at your doorsteps, and this is a huge, incredible awakening experience. Right. So let's just tap to that. There is an authentic yes in there too, to, thank you, thank you, thank you for the teaching.
Yeah. Yes. That's a good place to go with this. I see now that I needed to have a place to take it. Hey, take this too. Initially, I thought I had gotten over it until I spoke about it at the end of the processing. So,
yeah, which
yes, I'm
showed
looking
to
for a
me.
place to carry it, and a learning, a big eye-opening.
Okay, good. So let's put big eye opening in here. And with inquiry work, we meet what is emerging, and we welcome it, and we welcome all of it. So we're welcoming the shock, as gross as this is, and as so much we don't want this no, no, no. And also now I understand the instant understanding that came, right? That how this landed for you, and how that's a big eye opening. So we're just saying yes to that. Yes to the big eye opening. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And the mind asking legitimately, so, like, why so many? And I don't see any sense in this. And we'll just agree, mind, you're right. This does not make sense. This is nuts. This is crazy. This is barbaric. Yes, I'm hearing in there are some stolen services. So there's some stuff going on there about that's not right. We agree. It's not good to steal. But the level of over response here is, especially with the situation is going on, you think that this would be getting better.
Exactly, that was my thought.
And you also said, like, where's the social worker? I think you said.
Yes, somebody to talk to her. So the reason with her that the more you resist, the worse this is going to be. Prior to that, it's not a felony. Prior to the resisting arrest, it wasn't a felony.
How do you know that? Do you have some sort of
I
background
think
in that?
it's under $100 because I checked the police blotter, and the only person booked around that time on that whole day was a young Black female, and it was listed as stolen services and resisting arrest, and it said stolen services under 100. And here, where we live in Texas, is under 100 is not a felony. I think you have to steal more than $500.
I'm sorry, I'm still not understanding. Did it say on the blotter felony?
No, it didn't. But it was just that's where my mind went.
Okay, that's
Was,
what I'm trying to understand. Okay, so
this is a,
that's from a process point of view, that's the mind. So the
yes,
mind is computing and the mind's worried about felony, right?
right. Yeah, I'm thinking,
So the
yes, I'm
mind,
doing
our mind's always underneath it. They have a heart. So your mind is very concerned about felony, right? Because the mind is understanding that that's a bigger thing. Like if you get into felony territory, and so you're caring about this woman, that, oh, I hope that this hasn't gone into felony territory, right?
Yeah,
So the mind doesn't know. The mind doesn't know all these things, but that's where your particular mind goes with
yes.
the amount of data that you have to enter into the
Right.
machine, so to speak. That's what comes up. Okay, so we're just going to bow. And when I say bow, it's just we're acknowledging the mind is working overtime trying to sort this out. And underneath that sorting out is heart, right? It is care, that there's concern, there's worry, right? Underneath worry is love. So
Yeah,
the love that exists here and the concern for this woman and what's going to happen in terms of the legal system and what ramifications that may have. So we just acknowledge
yeah.
that, and bowing to the mind and to the heart behind it, and just see what happens from here. Whew.
Is it, I did forget to mention that I wrote the police chief, contacted them and just wrote out the story and asked why
Hmm.
why so many. I have yet to hear back. I may call. I just don't like to stir up. I didn't want to stir up anything. I didn't go to social media, but I'm really kind of surprised it didn't end up there.
Okay, so next, what emerges out of consciousness is I wrote the police chief. So we're
Mm,
just gonna acknowledge that as emerging out of consciousness, the action that you took, and asking why so many, and yet to hear back. And we're also going to go to what also started to show up was that I don't want to stir it up.
yes,
I chose not to at this point in time go to social media because I didn't want to stir it up.
yes.
So
There's
let's
so
let's
much
just
hurt.
go into that. So what did you say?
I said there's so much hurt
Yeah, there's so
in
much
that
hurt.
community already because that would cause them more pain, to bring that back up, and anger um, and again, like you said several times, I don't know the whole situation, but um, I don't want to stir up more anger. Is my one of my goals there, but
Okay, so again, we're doing emergent inquiry work. If I was doing other kinds of stuff, I might meet this in a different way, but we're doing inquiry
okay,
work. So we're just gonna meet the, I don't wanna stir things up, and I'm concerned about causing more hurt and more anger. We're just gonna meet that.
yeah,
So we're also gonna agree with it. Yeah, we don't want more hurt, and yeah, we don't want more anger. You're right, you're right. There might be someone in there orphan rescue wise, so there might be an aspect of consciousness, right? This, I don't want to stir things up. So there might be
yeah.
somebody back there in your past, right? This often comes from family conditioning or societal conditioning.
Oh, oh.
The little girl, yeah, something landed there. So
An
where did you
adult
go?
orphan? Could it be an adult orphan?
Can be an adult orphan. Yep.
Yeah, that would probably be.
What flashed for you?
It would have been my former relationship with my ex-husband.
Okay.
I didn't say a lot of stuff to keep him from becoming angry.
Okay.
And keep things from him. Like
Right.
even just the kids getting hurt because he could get angry over anything. So yeah, I see where that came from.
Okay. So an orphan has just emerged here in a very profound one. So let's take a moment. I felt a swoosh, just swoosh all over my whole body. So I'm just
Mhm.
going to go back to tapping. And this is in your life, and this is a lot of stuff that goes on for women. So we're
Yeah.
just going to meet the individual, and we're going to meet the collective.
Can I say that I feel a little bit of relief for recognizing that adult orphan?
Of
Like,
course.
oh,
Of
okay, there she
course.
is, you know.
Yep. Yep. Okay, good. So in recognizing that there's a link to previous stuff in your life connected to, I don't want to stir up, and what flashes is your ex-husband and the kids getting hurt and you not being able to, not wanting to, not
Sure.
not stir because of not wanting to stir it up.
Yeah, keep quiet.
So
That's why
yeah.
I make them be quiet. Don't cry. Or take them
Oh,
outside.
oh, Sophia. Okay, just breathe into it. Tears are always good. They're a relief. So just breathe into it. Be quiet. Go outside.
You know, I take them somewhere and hold them. You know, there was one time that an ear infection for my oldest one, and I wouldn't go home until his earache went away. So I drove with him and I held him in the car.
Okay, sweetie. So we're gonna just meet these orphans. There may be more work that you do with the orphan rescue protocol.
Yeah, I
So and
appreciate that.
yeah, but we can also just you're doing also doing
Yeah,
orphan rescue right here as we meet them. So there's probably a whole batch there with the ex-husband, but what's emerging is the particular memory
yeah,
with your son with the earache. That's a particularly strong
yeah,
one.
that was a big one.
Yeah. So let's just take a moment and meet that orphan, right?
Yeah,
That younger you with your sweet little boy and the earache and everything that you were dealing with your ex-husband and his behavior, I'm guessing, and
right. Yeah,
attitude that made you afraid.
yeah. He would come unglued, and
Okay.
it would be, you know, why are they sick? And so
Oh,
there's a lot of rage and um, cursing, and so it just wasn't worth dealing with. But um, that's on him.
yeah.
It's not me. I do know that now. That's not me. But yeah, that's what that was about. And
Yeah, and there's your ability not to be able to, you opting not to do certain things or speak. I'm not making a judgment on it.
yeah,
May have been very understandable survival coping
yeah,
mechanism at that point in time that probably has roots from things earlier in your life and maybe in
yeah,
your lineage, right? But the
exactly.
behavior is there about not being able to speak or take certain actions, right?
Yeah,
Only certain actions are available. Um, and so when encountered with somebody who becomes unglued and rages and curses, um, uh, you go mute.
yes, 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 I do. Or I have. Um, there was, I've had an incident uh, this year, as a matter of fact, where I was able to use my voice,
Mm-hmm.
and that felt so good, and it was the right thing to do without debasing myself.
Okay. Okay. So using my voice is emerging here. So your consciousness, thank you, consciousness, has been showing you all sorts of things. So it showed you out of the I don't want to stir things up. So I chose to write the police chief. I haven't heard back yet. I have not taken it anywhere else at this point in time because there's so much hurt because I don't want to stir up anger. Then you went into, oh yeah, anger reminds me, ding, 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 of my ex and my kids. So my kids being hurt. Um,
Yeah.
and because of my inability to do certain things and to stand up to him or whatever. I'm not saying that you
Yes.
had to stand up to him. This is delicate. So,
Well, yes, yes.
but you know, there's a
It's
fine
connected.
line between responsibility and irresponsibility when one's an adult. But when you have a bunch of stuff from your upbringing and from your lineage, it's complicated.
Yes.
So, okay.
This is connecting so much for me.
Yeah, and this
The
is,
whole the incident.
unfortunately, a lot of women
Yeah.
have very shared experiences and might relate to what
Yes.
you're dealing with, Sophia. Yeah. Okay, and we're just meeting all of that, so we're just welcoming it. You know, orphan, you're welcome here. Particular orphan around my son and his earache, you are welcome here. My fear about a person, a man, becoming unglued and moving into rage and cursing, as hard as it is, you are welcome here. Like, I see that. I'm able to meet it. I'm able to see it. And then you went, you know, that's on him. That him going unglued and rage and cursing, that's not my responsibility. That's his. So that's on him. So we're just gonna welcome that aspect of your
Yeah.
consciousness and your insight. And then what emerges is, you know, despite all of this stuff that was in the past, is in the past, and that you have been reclaiming your voice.
Yes.
And you said a particular word, I didn't write it up here. I think you said with, was it with dignity? What was the word, if you can
Um,
remember?
Without debasing myself, but I like
Yes.
dignity better. We turn it around and use a more
Yeah. Yeah.
positive word.
Okay, so we got the debasing. So that's a fear. So you're right. We don't want to debase oneself. Yuck. No thanks. And so the flip of it is the yes is dignity. So yes,
Yes.
yes, please. Dignity, please. Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes. And that's my guess, understandably, of what this woman was not being treated with dignity. My
Yes.
goodness. And
There's
was being debased. Yeah.
so many connections on this level. I
Yeah.
just am seeing the thought of my own kids, adult kids, being in this age range as her. At the same time, she's a woman, and yeah, and um, then on there's just so many connections. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's wonderful. It's not wonderful, but it's eye opening, and I'm learning something.
Yeah, why did you attract this, right? Why is this showing up on your doorstep? Why is this obviously, understandably resonating and
Yeah.
interacting with? And so we're different states of consciousness, and you know, there's a level here of gratitude for the awakening,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And seeing your own awakening path that has occurred here, and this, and a sisterhood, and maybe even a mother-daughter sense, because this woman
Yeah.
is the same age as your children, which
Yes.
is, you know, why it's understandably, regardless of who it was, but this is impacting you as a mother because of the transference and projection too of her being the same age as your children and the compassion that evokes.
Yeah.
So yes, yes, yes to all of that.
Yeah.
Yes to the insights. Yes to there's so much here for me.
Yes. There's so much here, so much more than I knew. I didn't think there was much to dig into, but you are like an archaeologist, I guess.
Yeah, your consciousness is showing me. That's a beautiful
Yeah,
word, Sophia. It's the archaeology, exactly.
yeah. It's like popcorn. The thoughts, just pop like a popcorn as the consciousness kind of leads me along.
Yes, yes, it does. If we meet what it meet and welcome what it shows us, and it leads us to the next layer, like layers in parfait glass. Here's the popcorn. it's popping out your consciousness, and you're just seeing. This has been an archaeology. I mean, there's the present situation, which is horrific and very disturbing. And then there's it's got tentacles down to these other
Yes.
places, right? That why this is responding so much. So, so we're just bringing compassion and love and care for the woman in the parking lot, and for your younger aspects who have wrestled with having a voice and standing up to debasement.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
So much better than therapy. This is quite, yeah, quite amazing.
Just see where you go now.
The one thought that popped up was that I still feel like I need to be heard, and
Yeah.
I am blessed that this last year that we voted in a new mayor who's very accessible. I think I will call him and and talk to him about it. I feel like he needs to know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're just going to bow to the action that's emerging as you've met all that you've met here. And what's emerging is, hey, there's this accessible mayor. I'm gonna see about that accessibility. This is something you need to know. I need to be heard.
Yeah, she needs to be heard.
Oh, yes, yes,
They
yes, yes.
need to be heard.
She needs to be heard.
My goodness.
Oh, anybody who's
Yes.
being
Yes.
responded to so out of proportion to, they
Everyone.
all need to be heard.
People of color, minorities, anyone who's being mistreated needs to be heard. And just this is just so I have been around you for years, but this is just one. I know your work, but this is really an amazing experience.
And thank you. I appreciate the appreciation, and I'm just going to mirror the appreciation back to your consciousness.
Yeah.
And she needs to be, I need to be, you working your voice, I need to be heard, she needs to be heard. All the people of color, minorities who are being mistreated, all need to be heard.
Yeah, it just
Yes,
felt
yes, yes.
bigger. I'm like the smaller portion, and then it's like I felt like these other things just build and they're bigger than me. There's a bigger world besides just me.
Yep. Let's bow to that. Yes, yes, yes. Absolutely true.
Wow.
Yeah. Bigger world than just me. Okay, you're meeting it all, and natural aligned sacred action is merging. Just see if there's anything you can continue to connect with your own consciousness. You don't need me to do it, but since we're here, let's just see if there's anything else that wants to emerge. You've got your sacred action to take. Just see if there's anything else. And just a deep bow to everything that's emerged from consciousness here.
I'm not feeling anything right now. Nothing's popped. But
okay. Then that's just our sign that we'll just bow to that. It's not empty, but it's.
Yeah.
I mean, there it is, right? There it is. That's your next step. You wrote the police chief, nothing. So now your next step is you're going to the accessible mayor.
Yes.
And you need to know, and you're going to tell, and I need to be heard, and that this is connected to she needs to be heard, and who all need to be heard. Anybody who's being mistreated. Okay.
Yes. This feels really good. I mean, it's not, initially I was thinking, I will be taking this somewhere and it's gonna be done and I'll have it out of my system, but that's not the case. This is a purpose that I need to carry a little further and then continue to keep my eyes open and learn. Like you mentioned earlier, this is a big learning experience. It's bigger than I even realize at the moment, I'm sure. But that's what I feel. That feels like a full circle moment for now.
Okay. Thank you for coming and doing your processing work.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
And all the best with your next step. The
Yes,
purpose
thank
that
you.
needs to be carried further and it being a actualizing big learning experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.